Hi, this is Eric Teplitz, and for today's Daily Insight, I'd like to share some thoughts that I have on the subject of motivation. In observing my own life, I've noticed that I am the least and most motivated person that I've ever met. Aren't you? I would venture to say that you probably feel similarly, or at least can relate to the spirit of the statement. And that's because we all know what it feels like to be incredibly motivated, to be on fire with motivation about something. And we also have all had the experience, I'm sure, of feeling extremely demotivated and utterly lacking in motivation to do X, Y, or Z. This is a subject that I have found interesting my entire life. I'm endlessly fascinated about what motivates people, how, and why, both in terms of observing my own behavior and in observing others in the world. I feel like if we can tap into the secrets of motivation, if we can decode it, if we can solve the motivation puzzle for ourselves, then it's pretty limitless as to what we might be able to accomplish and achieve. Think about being able to motivate yourself at will. Think about how incredibly empowering that would be. Well, what we first need to do is really deeply understand ourselves and what motivates us. I'm convinced that solving the motivation puzzle is not a one size fits all proposition. I believe that what motivates an individual is a highly personal thing. And as if it's not already difficult enough to decode, I also don't believe that what motivates us is fixed. In other words, what may have motivated us in the past may no longer apply now in the present as a motivating force. So, this is something that requires a lot of self knowledge and understanding, but I see it as an ongoing, lifelong process of discovery. It's a puzzle that we may never completely solve, but if we get the majority of the pieces in place, we can really make serious progress in life. I invite you to take some time to consider your life thus far, and I want you to think back on the times in your life where you experienced the greatest motivation, where you were just absolutely on fire with motivation. I want you to spend some time thinking about this, writing down your memories on paper, and see if you can come up with 5 or 6 times in your life or experiences when you were just the most motivated you have ever been. And they can be in completely different areas of life. That's fine. But I want you to think about each one of those and then see if you can identify what were the factors that contributed to that sense of motivation, and see if you notice any patterns. Sometimes people are intrinsically motivated. The motivation comes more or less completely from within. An example might be you reach a point where you're just so sick and tired of how you feel. For instance, how the foods that you eat are making you feel, that you decide enough is enough. I have to make a change right now. Or you feel a similar way about all of this extra weight that you're carrying around. You just reach a point where suddenly you know what? This is no longer acceptable. And the motivation just arises naturally. Other times, the motivation may be sparked by something outside of ourselves, an external event. Maybe someone we know has a heart attack, and it really gets us to reconsider our own habits of maintaining our health. That can light a fire under you, perhaps, but not necessarily. It's different for everyone. Different things motivate different people and at different times. Let's just talk about exercise, for instance. Different things, sometimes drastically different things, might motivate different people. Some people might be highly motivated by working with a personal coach, somebody that they are paying and that they are accountable to in order to supervise and guide them through their exercise routines. And they may know from experience that this is what they need in order to get themselves to exercise and get themselves on a particular program. For other people, it might be joining a gym. It might be signing up for a particular class and enlisting the social support that comes with it. having it on the calendar, having a schedule to adhere to where you're accountable to other people. For some people, that is the singular motivating ingredient, and it gets them to do the thing. For other people, they might actually enjoy the exercise, and they might enjoy it so much that it's almost effortless to motivate themselves. For still other people, they might find that having a goal that they're working towards, that goal could be perhaps they signed up for a race, and having that race on the calendar is the thing that motivates them and gets them to do the training so that they'll be in condition to do the race. Or a person that they're really attracted to might be into a particular form of exercise, and that might be all it takes to motivate you to go and do that form of exercise with them. So there are a lot of different things that potentially contribute to what makes us motivated. They don't all necessarily, by the way, need to be positive things. Sometimes we are motivated by, quote, negative factors. Things like pressure and deadlines can be extremely motivating. We might have financial incentives or disincentives that we may find motivating. I've heard of an instance where someone was really adamant about quitting smoking, and they actually literally put up a billboard with their face on it saying, "If you catch me smoking a cigarette, I will pay you $1,000 on the spot," or some such thing. People come up with all sort of creative ways of motivating themselves. Once you are motivated, there are few things that feel better when you are just on fire with motivation and working towards some goal that is meaningful to you. But if you don't feel that way, then you need to do some self-examination and decide what is important to you, what is it that you want to achieve, and how might you help motivate yourself to get there. Now, I work as a personal coach, and a lot of people find the structure and support of coaching to be highly motivating. So I encourage you, if this sounds interesting to you, to go to my website, ericteplitz.com, and you can book a free consultation with me and get a sense of if working with me might help you motivate yourself to accomplish the goals that you are striving to achieve. If not me, you might find that working with someone else might be just the thing that you need. I do believe that the interpersonal connection is hugely important, whether you're working with a coach or a trainer or a counselor or a therapist. There needs to be a high trust factor. There needs to be a high mutual respect factor. And I know, for instance, I taught guitar lessons for many years. And one of the things that I really enjoyed about teaching people guitar was believing in themselves on their behalf. If they reached a point, maybe even started off where they felt like, I don't know how I'm ever going to get there, I have the experience to know you absolutely can get there, and I can show you the way. Let me show you the way. And I also know from personal experience on the opposite end of being a student that having a teacher and having the structure of lessons and having the inspiration and guidance of someone who is far more advanced than you are can be hugely motivating and inspiring, and that you can make far greater and faster progress than you would just relying on your own ability to teach yourself or making use of instructional materials that are available online and elsewhere. So, it really ends up becoming a very personal thing, determining what will motivate you. What will motivate you now? If you do this exercise and you make a list of the times in your life in which you were most motivated, in whatever those contexts may have been, and if you can identify some of the salient factors that were absolutely crucial in terms of why you were motivated at that time, even if those factors were completely external, there are still measures that you can take. You might not be able to exactly recreate the conditions that motivated you back in the past, but you can construct similar conditions for yourself. You can put yourself in particular situations among particular people that can recreate and simulate that experience that you had. And it might be all that you need to get yourself motivated once again. So I hope this video has been helpful. If so, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'm very interested to hear what motivates you in whatever context that happens to be. So please share that in the comments below, and I look forward to tackling this subject in future videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.